Mexico is preparing for a historic election. Two women are the strong favourites to become president for the next 6 years. But while Claudia Sheinbaum and Xóchitl Gálvez are in the political spotlight, the reality on the ground is much darker. Diana is an activist for the ruling party, Morena. By engaging in politics, she faces a multitude of threats from organised criminal groups. The state has assigned her a police escort, but she prefers to go without one, so as not to attract attention.
The situation in the region isn't good. For our safety, it's best to travel in groups with other people around.
She's travelling to her hometown, Chilapa, in the mountains of Guerrero, where just 5 days before, Tomás Morales Patron, a mayoral candidate, was assassinated.
Let's organize ourselves into small groups to hand out flyers.
Gangs remove opposition candidates through targeted killings, so they can continue their criminal activities with impunity.
The groups have weapons and money. They control the territory. And it's no longer just about trafficking illegal substances. Now they also control the meat trade, a large part of the food trade. And they extort transport companies as well.
In this climate of terror, very few activists are willing to canvass with her.
The criminals killed both my sons. They also killed my son-in-law. Now, my daughter and I are all alone.
Epifania's two sons, one a professor, the other a lawyer, both worked closely with the local authorities. Her son-in-law had been the mayor of a neighbouring town.
But I said to myself, God only knows why this happened. But even if they attack me, I must continue supporting the party.
Let's go. Follow us.
In these villages where there's extreme poverty, Diana is warmly welcomed, because in this remote region, residents feel abandoned by a political world paralysed by insecurity.
No other candidate has come to see us here. None.
Diana was threatened 3 times during her campaign for the 2021 legislative elections. Armed commandos passed in front of her home, criminals chased her through an isolated village, and others came to intimidate her during a meeting.
We cannot touch the topic of security. Mentioning it would be like throwing yourself into a wolf's mouth.
And we witnessed this firsthand during a visit to the state Congress, while talking with this congresswoman.
Are you free to talk about the criminal groups that operate in this city?
For my own safety, I prefer not to dwell on this topic.
So a candidate can't say the name of an organized criminal group?
No.
In Guerrero, the territories of criminal groups are constantly changing, shaped by attacks, divisions, and alliances. Complying with one group can make you a target once the next group takes over. The state has one of the highest rates of murders and disappearances in the country. The church tried to play the role of mediator and negotiate a truce between criminal leaders last year. It failed, and Father Filiberto knows people living here are still at the gang's mercy.
Where do the criminals infiltrate? In the weakest links of the state. That means the municipalities. They have no protocols and law enforcement is poor. The police have very low salaries and are not well trained.
Back at her parents' house.
I just found these photos.
It's still a hard thing for Diana. Her father, Ranferi Hernandez, was a respected socialist activist in the region. In 2017, while running as a local member of parliament, he was intercepted while driving, along with his wife, his mother-in-law, and his godson.
In the early morning, we received news that a car was burning with bodies inside. I never imagined it was my family. Everything had been carefully planned. They were stopped, tortured, murdered, and their bodies were left to burn in the car. This was done by professionals. And for all these killings, not only the assassinations of politicians, but also the murders of social activists, environmental defenders, peasant leaders, people who try to change things. There's no justice. It's a utopia. It's difficult.
The day after this interview, another city councillor and a friend of Diana's was assassinated in the center of Chilapa. Since 2018, more than 1,700 political attacks, murders, or disappearances have been recorded in Mexico.